Hello and welcome to Business Point on Global Television. I am Queen Agaba. And of course, on Business Point, we x-ray the Nigerian economy. We talk about tech, innovation, as well as government policies. And we take you around the world of business. Today, Nigeria is taking bold steps to boost its economy with the establishment of a $10 billion diaspora fund aimed at attracting dollar inflows and foreign investments into critical sectors like infrastructure. Victor Aliu, head of investments at Sankore Global Investments, shared insights on this development during an interview. Aliu emphasized the significance of remittances as a key source of private external finance that is expected to grow in the coming years. The Nigerian government is keen on leveraging these remittances to mobilize capital and support development finance, with remittance flows to developing countries surpassing foreign direct investment flows. Nigeria stands to benefit from tapping into the financial resource. The country's diaspora remittance was valued at around $20 billion at the end of last year. However, due to distortions in the foreign exchange market, a considerable portion of these remittances flowed through unofficial channels, indicating even higher potential inflows. The establishment of the Diaspora Fund presents an opportunity to formalize and maximize these remittances for economic growth. In the light of the current economic challenges facing Nigeria, including debt burdens, FX and FX volatility, the Diaspora Fund offers a promising solution by harnessing the financial contributions of Nigerians living abroad. The government aims to strengthen its finances, address debt concerns like I earlier put out, stabilize the FX market, and enhance the value of the local currency, while also exploring various options such as loans from international institutions and capital market investments. Joining me make better sense of these developments is my guest, Olubenga George, who will be joined shortly after this break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, if you've just joined us, this is Business Point on Global Television, where we x-ray Nigeria's economy. We talk about tech, innovation, as well as government policies and the news making rounds in the world of business. Nigeria is taking bold steps, like I earlier reiterated, to boost its economy with the establishment of a $10 billion diaspora fund aimed at attracting dollar inflows and foreign investment into critical sectors such as infrastructure. Victor Aliu, head of investment at Sankore Global Investments, shared insights on these developments during an interview. He emphasized the significance of remittances as a key source of private external finance that is expected to grow in the coming years. The Nigerian government is keen on leveraging these remittances to mobilize capital and support development finance, with remittances flows to developing countries surpassing foreign direct investment flows. Nigeria stands to benefit from tapping into this financial resource. Our country's diaspora remittance was valued at around $20 billion at the end of last year due to distortions in the foreign exchange market. A considerable portion of these remittances flowed through unofficial channels, indicating even higher potential inflows. The establishment of this diaspora fund presents an opportunity to formalize and maximize these remittances for economic growth. In the light of the current economic challenges facing Nigeria, including debt burdens, FX volatility, and the likes, by harnessing these financial contributions of Nigerians living abroad, the government aims to strengthen its finances, address debt concerns, I beg your pardon, stabilize the FX market, and enhance the value of the local currency, while also exploring various options such as loans from international institutions and capital market investments. Joining me on the program to make better sense of this $10 billion diaspora fund is Olubenga George. Good morning, Mr. Benga. Mr. Benga, can you hear me? I think we have a bit of an issue there. We'll just take a quick break. Hopefully we get reconnected with our guests who will help us make sense of these loans. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. If you've just joined us, this is Business Point on Global Television, where we discuss tech innovation in Nigeria's economy, particularly, as well as government policies. Before the break, I had established that Nigeria is looking to make better use of these investment funds as we're taking bold steps. Nigeria is taking bold steps to boost our economy with the establishment of a $10 billion diaspora fund aimed at attracting dollar inflows and foreign investment into critical sectors such as infrastructure. Joining me to better make sense of this development is Olubenga George. Olubenga, good morning.
Good morning. Great to be here.
Good morning. It's a pleasure having you join me on the program. You know, despite the positive outlook for remittances, questions have remained about whether these funds alone can alleviate the economic pressures faced by Nigerians. And I want you to help us better make sense of what this fund is about and how does the fund plan to, attract dollar inflows from the Nigerian diaspora.
All right. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I think I should begin by, first of all, underlining one of the words that you used in introducing this question by saying that it is to alleviate. All right. So I think that's one of the key points to note with this concept of the diaspora fund that is being initiated by the federal government of Nigeria. We are in an economic quagmire, and that is nothing to doubt. We look at from every angle, rising inflation, And of course, the naira dollar devaluation, the devaluation of the naira that has, you know, exacerbated in the last few months since the um, advent of this administration. I think all of that necessitates that the government, looks at every option that is available. You, it's interesting. You mentioned, during your introduction that last year, diaspora remittance in Nigeria was about $20 billion. All right, and I think if it is something that we have always looked away from, and it's interesting, to know that having that fund last year, um, some previous year before it, you realize that in this country for several years, for like 3 years consecutively, a combination of about 20 states did not generate any or did not attract any foreign direct investment. And these are some of the issues, that has continued to put pressure on forex, that has continued to put pressure and skyrocket the inflation in the country. So the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and by the way, I must start by way of giving commendation, for their frantic efforts in trying to, or trying every means available, to ensure that, the alleviate the suffering of Nigeria and stabilize the economy. You recollect just yesterday when the VP was represented by but the president was represented by his VP in Kenya, where they had the IDA. And you remember that the VP said that gone are the days that Nigeria, is escaping from the season of economic saboteurs. And these are the people that we have had that have continued to drag the Nigerian economy into the mud. So yes, it is a commendable one. I know we'll begin to now speak to how effective the issue of the $10 billion is concerned. But first of all, I'd like to establish in general that the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a lot of critics may not agree because it is criticism and it is politics. But when we take politics away, we must actually be able to give him kudos, for the ideas and the creativity they are actually deploying in trying to turn the economy of Nigeria around for the better.
Now, you'd agree with me that there are some sort of incentives or better word benefits offered to the diaspora for their investment, such as tax benefits, citizenship perks, I beg your pardon, or investment returns, that could elucidate this fund's approach to securing capital. What I'm saying in essence is, how does the fund plan to attract dollar inflows from Nigeria diaspora?
All right. So if last year alone we had a diaspora remittance of over $20 billion, I mean these monies came in through people sending their families some money. Of course, we know that Nigerians, have a penchant for traveling abroad. The Jackpot syndrome is still very there. It's still very much there. And the question is, can we actually stop people from traveling abroad? No. So the government has decided to deploy its creativity to ensure that, look, as much as these people are there, we can also feel their presence here. They are making money abroad, but they can begin to invest it, back home to boost the Nigerian economy. The policy was initiated to foster investment in the private sector and, inject the foreign direct investment into the economy. So they are abroad. They see all the business opportunities that are there, and it is only proper to have an organized way, of channeling these opportunities into the Nigerian market. And because it is business, the Nigerian government is now saying, so we are not just going to leave it to you. You are not just going to work hard and just send money to your folks. No, we are going to create an opportunity, where you can invest directly into the Nigerian state from where you are. And that's the essence of this $10 billion. So this fund is available, for to cushion the effect of your investment. So you are going to look at according to the dictates of the committee, they are going to develop the framework, for this fund. We are still looking forward actually to how it will pan out and the dimensions it will take. But basically, I think it has to do with allowing people who are abroad, to have investments in Nigeria within a framework that is effectively managed by the private sector and, of course, the government of Nigeria.
Clearly put out. Now, if we understand the impact, expected impact of the fund in terms of economic metrics like GDP, employment rate, or international trade, I want us to know I want you to better make sense of how the fund will contribute to Nigeria's economic development following all of the, things that has been happening recently.
Well, you know that an increased investment means a lot of things. If you have increased investment opportunity and that is backed by government funding, then you are sure that for all the businesses that will be engaged, in this fund window, for example, that is automatic employment. And automatic employment, for these organizations, for example, one of the prerequisites, that the government has laid down is that any organization that is going to bid, that is going to express their interest in this, in the management of this fund, they are going to have a particular structure where they check who their staff is, what's the experience that this staff have, and all of that. So automatically, for organizations who have not been up to it, it's an opportunity for them to sit up and begin to create opportunities for people who have invested in empowering and equipping themselves with knowledge and skill, to now begin to display those skills and talents in effective management of this fund. So what we will see is not just employment, but it will be qualitative employment, where professionalism can be deployed at its peak. We are looking at a situation where, of course, the economy will be boosted to the high heavens because when funding is coming and it is structured the way it is, the way the government is planning it, you can be sure that it will be, most of these fund managers will have to, but you are sure that it is engaging the Nigerian people across all funds who are going to be managing the entire process of this fund.
What sectors do you think are most likely going to benefit from these investments? I know you've mentioned that maybe the travel agency, because Nigerians love to travel and all that. What other sectors are most likely going to benefit from this investment? And should we be looking into or identifying?
Well, I think it's going to create a serious boost for the financial sector. Those who are in the financial market, for example, are going to be benefiting directly because you look at those who are to express their interest, in the managing of the fund. There are people who practice in the capital market. There are investment community, diaspora investors, and capital market operators. These are people who are going to be, operating the project directly. But you talk about beneficial, it's going to be every Nigerian. When we go to the capital market, for example, every person that is investment oriented, for example, knows that okay, I take my funds to the capital market, and you have experts trade with that money for you. So the overall benefits for me, yes, the financial sector, those who operate in the financial sector are going to be beneficial. Then you now talk about investors, local investors, people who do business and where it comes to fund, people who do money business are going to, people who do investment, people who do production services, because even as we speak, by the time the committee comes up and they tell us exactly where these funds will be directed into, most of the money from the capital market are directed into one industry or the other. It could be production, it could be the creative industry, it could be the mining industry. We know that it could be in bonds or treasury bills, which is from the government. So I think it's a very wide framework. It's a very, very wide market, but overall, a lot of people, Nigerians, foreigners, are going to be benefiting from it, and most especially those who play in the financial sector.
Knowing that Nigerians and those in the diasporans are going to benefit from this, do you think we need as much, strategy to effectively encourage them to invest in the fund in terms of marketing, communication strategies, and all that, and diaspora engagement? Or do you think it's going to be minimal? What do you think? What strategies do you think we will need to engage? Is this going to be an easy peasy sort of engagement?
Well, I think to looking at the prerequisites, the conditions that the government provided already, I think it's quite strategic enough if we care to look at. They have said, okay, if you're going to express interest in this project, you must, the firms that will express interest must come up and show their profile. They must show details of their ownership structure. They must show the details of their management team profile, their historical performance, and they want to ensure that the companies that will be enlisting are strong enough, to actually carry this out. So, which for me is a good strategy. One of the things that we've always had, in the Nigerian government is to have, government just come up with one very, very gigantic white elephant project that, we have no head or tail. But you can see that this one is has already provided the conditions, and that whoever is going to play in it must follow. So every investor can be confident that, yes, we are releasing this fund because of the professionalism, because of the profile of the fund managers. Then it is certain that we'll be looking at return over interest. And one of the things they look at, for example, is they said that any company that is going to enlist must provide summary of their successfully exited investment, say in the last 3 years prior to the time, with key information on company, their exit strategy, their fund and investment, and internal rate of return, which is very important. So people who have played in this line have to have looked at their profiles, and that, okay, there's a wide profit margin. These people have a track record, of investing and getting returns, and getting, especially for their equity holders. So for me, I think the strategy will have to be reviewed from time to time. It's a 10-year long project. The first phase is just 3 years, where these players are found, and then the government releases the funds, and of course investors also begin to benefit. But I think from the start, which is very important, is that you get all the facts right. You get the players, the people who are going to handle it. You get them to be professionals. It is not a game of okay, he's my brother, or he's my cousin, or he's my friend. The Nigerian system of, okay, so you can just access this fund. And to now look at, the history of corruption, that has also bedeviled the Nigerian state for a while. And you want to look at the importance, of having a very effective strategy that will put all of these people into consideration. So what we'll be looking forward to, as commendable as this idea is how much government is committed, to ensuring that our processes are followed to the letter. We look at it from the angle of the integrity of the companies that will be engaged, which they have already stated the conditions. We look at a follow-up strategy, like you are saying. What is the monitoring and evaluation strategy for the government? How are they going to ensure that these people are accountable? And how are they going to ensure that they play by the rules of the game? Investors, people who play in the investment field are very fun sometimes, fund managers, because people don't truly know, what they go through. It's quite challenging, and especially when you look at the global business space right now, it's quite challenging. But resilience and commitment from the part of government to ensure that this process is pushed through and isn't just considered to be one of those grandiose ideas that we introduce, all in the name of curing the good face of the people. I think that should be looked away from. We should begin to look at the government looking decisively to monitor the entire process so that the essence is not lost.
I think this ultimately answers my question as regards ensuring transparency and accountability in managing these funds, you know. But this, I think, I believe that there are still more strategies that you think that can be implemented by the government. I know that you've said that in order to see that this is secure and, you know, follows due process, these people would have to show details of their management structure, and then you propose ways such as monitoring and, you know, evaluation and all of that. But are there other strategies? Because when we hear of big projects like this, especially in Nigeria, one of the issues we see is a process that guarantees transparency and accountability. These things are good, they seem feasible and all of that, but they are marred by the process, especially when it comes to transparency. How can the Nigerian government ensure transparency and accountability to the maximum?
That will have to do with the openness of our structures, of our financial structures and systems. As we speak, the financial market in Nigeria is quite open, and even though it is shrouded in a lot of I don't want to use the word secrecy, but you know, players in that field know the rules of their game and they play by it. But it's important to know that people can invest money and that their money is not lost. And I guess that's why you are speaking to strategies, you know, to better strategies where this is concerned. I think the number one strategy would be for the government to have a monitoring body. You know, I think it is very, very important. A monetary body of financial experts who are not just looking for money, but are patriotic, you know, because it almost doesn't rhyme when you talk about business and you talk about patriotism. You realize that a lot of people would rather focus on business because they tell you business is all about profit. But we must realize that this profit is not just profit. It's not for the sake of just doing business, but for the sake of improving the Nigerian economy, for the sake of living a country that is admirable, for the sake of giving our Nigerian state an image, you know, that represents the true identity of the people. So it's very important, and when we throw ourselves open like this, I would say everybody come and invest, like we have seen Mr. President do over the last almost 1 year now since he came into power. You know, Mr. President has been maybe I should use the word they use, globetrotting, trying to attract investors into the Nigerian space. And we must give him kudos. He's winning at it. You know, just recently he won a $600 million deal, you know, into the Nigerian seaport, you know. So that's a kudos to him. So I think he's winning with it. But it's one thing to continue to attract investors, but it is another thing to ensure that these investors can have confidence in our system. And that is where we are going. So first of all, the issue of corruption, which have already begun to gain momentum in its dealing, you know, must be sustained. So we must ensure that the corruption is a no-no, and that the process that has already begun through the regulatory bodies, the financial crimes, the economic and financial crimes bodies, the independent corrupt practices bodies, and other agencies who are saddled with this responsibility are allowed to actually undertake their jobs without fear or favor. and they should be the watchdog. They are supposed to be the financial watchdog, and they should be allowed to play that job, push people, monitor processes to the point where there is no interference. Whoever needs to be punished is punished. That's when confidence can begin to rise in the mind of investors. And when government introduces a laudable project like this, people can begin to have confidence that it will sail through, and that it will have the kind of impact that it is meant to have on the economy.
Many thanks, Mr. Olubenga George. We'll have to take a quick break. We'll take a report by Kike Lomo here in the world of business, and after which the conversation continues. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, if you just joined us, this is Business Point on Global Television, and we've been speaking with Olubenga George, who is the head political desk at AfriSCOP. Mr. Benga, before the break, you've been identifying some of the potentials of this fund, but I want us to look at the risk. Globally, there are usually currency fluctuations, political instabilities, and mismanagement of some sort. I want us to, I want you particularly to talk about the risk and challenges that could be associated with these diaspora funds. Are you there, Mr.
that
Gbenga?
yes, I am, and I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Please go on.
Okay, so I said first of all, we must agree that there is no business without risk. However, one of the benchmarks, is how much you can calculate the risk before you actually step into business. I think that's what's important. So it is not just taking risk. I think the Nigerian government is taking a risk with the $10 billion fund already, and what we should be looking at is it a well calculated risk? Is it something that in the within the interim, the project lifespan, is it something that can actually achieve its aim and its goal? And you have also mentioned already that we are in global instability. The world generally is experiencing global instability in terms of business. You look at the current issues with the Houthis, in the Red Sea, and the supply, the cuts, recent cuts, in the internet cables to Nigeria. These are very key factors, that drives the economy. And what we are looking at, or what we should be looking at, is how much we are willing to mitigate this risk. To say that we will avoid risk is almost impossible. You know, it is almost impossible in any by any means. But when that risk is, how are we prepared, to cushion the effect of this risk? What is the reserve? For example, people, when you deposit money in the bank, they will tell you not to worry because you know that the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation is there to cushion the effect of whatever happens to banks in case you lose your money. So, what we should be looking at is what is the government actually doing to cushion the effects of the risk that will be attached to this investment. So, you want to ask for specific to say, okay, what kind of risk should we be expecting from this kind of fund? Most of the time, mostly the players will be operating in the capital markets. They will also be subjected to the volatility of the market, the ups and downs of the capital market and how, say stocks, for example, are being traded, and the natural effects or the artificial effects that happens to some of the businesses globally. For example, across the world now we are dealing with the issue of insecurity, and we know how much this is selling. So, what are we able to do in terms of making sure that, to the best of our ability in Nigeria, that we provide enough security, for this investment, physical security by this time around. I mean, then we are also looking at what other security is the government providing that will pushing the effect in terms of, say, insurance. Are these investments going to be insurance backed? What are the plans for this insurance? Who are the people that will be engaged? What is their track record? What is their success story and their history, in the management of funds to this extent? What happens, like you're saying, when the unexpected happens? What's going to be the fate of the investors? So, especially Nigerians in diaspora who will be committing their funds, because it's also an opportunity for them, to be part of the development process of Nigeria. When they commit their funds, are they going to lose this money? So, what are the securities that are backing it up? That is something that the government will have to critically look into. As we speak, I am not very. So, of course, this entire $10 billion project is still in the works. So, we will be seeing in the coming days and coming weeks and months how the project will be unfolding and how it will be impacting, on the Nigerian economy and how these people will be participating in it. But critically, I think the us, is rest on the government who is actually initiating this idea and inviting investors to come and commit their funds to it. We will hope that, like, continue to say that it generates the effect of controlling or cushioning the naira to dollar debacle, and most importantly, we hope that these monies are not totally lost because there is insurance and there are instruments, provided by government to back them up.
Uh, well said. Now, this initiative, I mean, this fund, this diaspora fund, we hope that, in the future, this would, you know, it would influence future government policies towards the diaspora. That's a hope. But do you think that that is possible? What do you think about the future of this initiative, judging from, all that has been highlighted for now, what this aims to do for the diaspora community and all of that? What is the future of this initiative?
I think, to test the future of any initiative, whether in government or in private life, I think the underlying factor will be the vision, of those who are instituting it or who are initiating it. And from what we can see, the vision of Mr. President, has been to actually, revamp the Nigerian economy. Part of, what the VP said in Kenya on Monday was that Nigeria plans, for example, to become a global hub for outsourcing talent within the digital and creative economy. So we are looking at a situation where the government is committed to its vision. It is the vision that will determine how far the idea will go. So we are hoping that the president and the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is sincere, with this idea, and that they are committed to it, and they are willing to walk the mile, knowing fully well that even when you have good intentions, it doesn't deter it from having or encountering challenges. So there will be challenges, like we've highlighted. There will be shakeups, in the economic space globally. Nations are still trying to recover, since the COVID-19 and all whatnot. So definitely there will be issues that may arise, but the vision, the determination of the administration to continue to make the Nigerian people benefit, to change the economy of Nigeria for the better is it matters a lot in this entire process, and we are hoping that the government will be committed to its vision. We can see it, from the start that there is a vision, there is a good plan, and you can see it. But the president by himself, not leaving, the responsibility to the ministers or the ministry departments and agencies to continue to market the Nigerian state and market all that we have. The president has taken it, as a personal responsibility, and he has continued, to talk to nations, to talk to investors, even though he has witnessed a lot of backlash from the opposition, but he's quite determined, and he's firm in his resolve, to solve this issue of Nigeria's economic challenge and place the country on a continuous path of economic growth. So we are hoping that this vision, is also embodied by every other player that works in the president's team. We are hoping that the investors and the Nigerian people can actually, you know, uh, key into this vision and work it, to a point where they can benefit from it. Because it is one thing for the leader to have the vision. It is another thing for the people to catch it. I guess the president, is writing his vision, by taking the lead in.
Okay, I believe that Mr. Benga, are you there? Okay, we were disconnected, but here's better made sense of this $10 billion fund, diaspora fund. Speaking right there is Olugbenga George, the head political desk, AfriScope, helping us better make sense of this diaspora fund. Many thanks for your time with us on the program. Sadly, this is where we draw the curtains on Business Points today. Don't forget to make it a date with us tomorrow by 11 a.m. I'm Queen Agaba. Thank you for watching and see you again.